Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Cougars head to Texas for a conference showdown against Baylor and Waco. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. You know what? Joke's on JJ. He's out today, and Stevenson Sylvester, Sly, nice enough to come in and sit in the seat with us because it's a special treat for us because we're kicking off the program today with the Utah Hockey Club General Manager, Bill Armstrong, on the air here with us. Bill, thanks for being with us today, man. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's just great to meet you guys and be here, and it's a beautiful day, and then if we won 2 preseason games, so it makes it even a little more special. You know? I'm only coming in here after a win. I'm just telling you.
Preseason games are funny across all the sports, and to see how hockey is compared to football, compared to the only thing we have is to compare it to the professional sports that we're used to covering, and even the ones that maybe because hockey for me growing up was. Call me when the regular season starts, and really call me when the Stanley Cup playoffs fire up. And so following this stuff now, as much as we're doing it, it's been a massive education. Have you found yourself educating people as you kind of go along here too?
Well, people weren't familiar with our team, right? So you just want to make sure that they understand what they're getting. And so that was our biggest concern. Is hey, we're going to win the cup in Utah, next year, and you're like, well, okay, I'm all about exaggeration,
they dream big here in Utah.
Yeah, they dream big, yeah. So it's just trying to get them to understand where we came from and how the team has been built and the thought process and where we're going and how long it's going to take for the ride. So they've been great. People have been really excited, but you're kind of nervous because you want to set the right expectations with people understanding your team and where we're at. So
what was that reception like on Monday?
It's crazy. It's we love the attention. First of all, the fans here, they have no idea how they touch us emotionally. We have powerful moments with our fans because we're going in a game. It's a preseason game. It's loud like it's a Stanley Cup Finals, like we're in the 7th game. Every reaction, whether it's a shot on net, is just crazy. So we love that. We don't take that for granted for where we came from. So when you see our players and they talk about the Utah fans, we're passionate about them because we just love how loud they are and the setup. It's been great.
I think it was Sean Dursey who said that too. He goes, I look down the bench and I'm just looking at Krause and I'm going, and we had a look. We had to look down the bench and you're like, this is something different here. Oh, yeah. Everything's brand new for us. But and it's not just a new shiny thing, but it's also this idea that there is an organization behind it, and you're in that front office, and you're making some of those moves. And Bear last week kept saying, "Look, those are Bill Armstrong's things," because he's answering all these questions. They're like, "Tell me what you got, what's going on in the works," and he's like, "That's all stuff that Bill Armstrong has to figure out, not me." So, what is the stuff that you have been kind of, when you get entrusted with that front office, and we were talking about the draft before we came on, and the assets that you have, the everything that you're babysitting at once. Not that you're babysitting players, but just the stuff that you have to look at on a day-to-day basis. Yeah,
well, I'll go back a little bit further. So when I took the job, I had a lot of time to study. So I have a coaching background. In the summer, I'd pick one thing as a coach, and I would study it till I couldn't study it anymore and come to my own conclusion. So when I was scouting for 16 seasons, I was always studying to be a GM. So every season, I'd go into it and figure out, why was this GM successful where this guy failed? Nice. And my big thing was, as soon as I came in, I was like, I noticed a lot of GMs got failed for the talent that was on the ice. And I said, listen, that's never going to be me. I'm going to go out and get the best scouts. And once we get the best scouts, we're going to make our scouts the most educated scouts in the history of hockey and grow our scouting, everybody in the group. And we've had to have an open mind. We're going to embrace analytics, we're going to embrace video, and we're going to embrace live viewing, and we're going to work together with experience. And if you look at our group...
Is it like it is in the movies when you all get in that group and you're all sitting around that conference table?
It's insane. It's insane. It's insanity.
Bring your weird ideas. We want to hear them all.
It's great, though, because we're in the evolution of hockey where numbers are a part of it, and we have the numbers. And so we're big into that, but we're also big into common sense, right? So the scout, our scouts came to us one time and said, we're worried that we're going to be overpowered by the analytics. I go, Name that guy in the NHL. He's great at analytics. I hate him. Like, you're never going to have to worry about that. It just makes us dig deeper into the player and why. So we wanted to create an elite scouting, department, and that was the first thing that I kind of did. So I've tried to create an elite departments from development to pro scouting to amateur scouting, and kind of perfect every department and then move forward. Because the big philosophy on how I understand and how I think about being a GM is create an elite front office, and you will create an elite hockey team on the ice.
Man, for newbies like me, right? I love hockey, first of all. I played in Pittsburgh for the Steelers, and I lived right across the street from the arena for the Penguins. And so, I was able to walk over to games. I absolutely love it, but I don't know the details of it. So, for new guys like me, when you guys are assessing guys and all of this, I know there's a lot of Utah guys or people who are new to this. How do you assess guys? I see you took the mentality from your playing days and attached that to learning how to be a GM. How do you assess players and how they're going to be a good fit for your culture?
It's a great question. I could go on about that for days because
that's why I asked it. I want you to go on.
There's so many different aspects, but the biggest thing for us is it's hockey sense. Like, at the end of the day, it's like football sense. It's like baseball sense. That's the first thing that you're drawn to is do they know how to move in the game in the way that you can win with? And then, then we go to size and all the other different, aspects they have. And then do they fit into our culture? Are they our type of people that can come in and embrace team and lose yourself within the team and have pushback and not give up and have talent that can give you first and second efforts and have the ability to have that, to go on the ice every day and try and get better. The will to improve is such a great thing. So it's a massive question that you ask, but when you come watch us, it's all boiled into that. Our players, we take great pride in who we've drafted. We want to bring the right players through the door.
What sorry, Alex.
No,
quick.
I love it.
What is that? Because we're starting this off, right? I want Utah people to be able to say this as they go across country. What is that culture? What is that mentality that you want to instill in the players?
It's coming to the rink and you're working. You're a workhorse. Like, when our fans leave that game, they're going to be like, they got outmatched, but they wouldn't give. Like, they wouldn't give. They fought. They blocked shots with their face. They're bleeding after the game. They left it on. They're missing teeth. They left it on the ice. They bled a little bit in Utah. They got a little Utah fight in them. And that's what we want our fans to walk out the door. And that's not going to happen every game, but it's going to happen the majority of games. And we want our guys to bleed. There's a spirit that we play with that we breed inside our players. And listen, we do background checks. We do, you name it. We go back to their 5th grade teacher and find out what they're like. We want the right people.
Interesting.
That's a big part for us. And I always say, you don't teach a baby shark how to bite. That shark knows how to bite. It just knows how to bite. It's in its instinct.
This is all fascinating stuff. Part of what we're learning too is, when the roster got rolled out, that's again another thing for me where I'm looking at it and I go, okay, 750,000 guys on the roster. Okay, perfect. This is great. I have to get to know every one of them. I think it was 65 though, right? Something crazy like that. And you've got to know every one of these dudes in some fashion, right? Like you have, and you do have to come across them, and so. From the guy who's played forever, your Sergachevs, down to the guy that nobody necessarily knows or who's born in 2007, or whatever. There are so many young guys, now, and it's crazy to me to see how young some of these dudes are. When you get to that point and you have to assess everything in your system, how do you approach that?
Well, listen, I can't remember my kid's birthday. Sometimes I'm like a terrible human being that way, but I could watch you skate and memorize your rhythm of skating. And I go back on the ice 2 years later, I'll be like, yeah, that's him. That's so funny. It's, I can know every kid on the ice and kind of know the insides and outs. It's a weird thing how to do that, but you got to remember that I've watched 300 and 400 games a year for, how many, 30 years. So it's it's ingrained in me to watch people move on the ice in patterns and do stuff. So for me, it's easy. You're at certain levels, and eventually each day you get worked down into the level you're at. And, at the end of the day, there's 23 players there that are at that level, and the rest have to go down the minors or go back to junior and fight their way back up. See,
that's another thing we've learned too, is the junior leagues, kind of the hierarchy of some of the stuff and where these things, that a number 6 overall pick, we won't see you for 2 years. That's the reality of it. So that's also something that's different In hockey, I guess the closest thing we have is maybe some baseball in terms of development and how long it takes for the game. The speed of the game is one of the big things that everybody brings up, and
it's fast.
And that's what I think shocks fans in person, because on TV the product is so much different than it is in person. So is that really the biggest difference of like even like the AHL or even like the junior leagues, just like straight to the NHL? It's just the speed stuff that these guys, if they can't figure it out, they won't make it.
It's so fast. Like it is just like when you go down on the football field, it's violent. Like you don't realize how violent it is. Like it's when you go down to the hockey rink and you sit close to the glass, you cannot believe how fast they think and how fast they play. It's incredible, and it's only getting faster. You know, just with the way the athletes are developing on the ice, they're pushing speed somewhere between 22 to 24 miles an hour. Cooley this year, he could be one of the fastest guys in the National Hockey League. He's barely, I don't even think he's 21 yet. And he could be pushing close to 24 miles an hour coming up the ice with the puck. So these guys are elite fast. And the game is just the way it moves is incredible. The NHL, number one, has done an amazing job at perfecting the game and mastering a game and making it a better game. There's more comeback wins than ever before because you can't hold, you can't obstruct. So the game's moving like this. And just the way that they've designed them. And made the game better with the offsides and and taking out the red line. It's a fast game, and it's only getting faster. So as a fan, when you get down there, and I had a kid, and I can't tell you who the parent of this child was because he's kind of famous, but the kid.
But you remember his skating style for sure.
This kid said to me the other day when he was coming out, and he was in by our dressing room, and he said to me, I watched hockey and it was just okay, but when I watched hockey live, man, is it good. It is so
That's
good.
A real thing.
It's like he was amazed at how good it was, and you get addicted watching on the ice. And then when you get to know the players a little bit and hear their story and you know them and you get involved in it. And that's one of the things that I tried to tell the fans when I came in. I said, listen, Ryan and Ashley Smith and SEG, they bought 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, 25. They didn't buy an expansion team where you're getting 30-year-olds. They bought a team that the fans can fall in love with because they're going to grow with these players for a long time.
I'm fascinated by what has it been, 6 months now?
It seems like we've been here for 6 years, but really it's only been 6 months.
You're like,
it's
this
incredible.
has been the longest 6 months of my life. So you're not allowed to say Ryan and Ashley Smith because I think everybody here knows what they do on a daily basis in terms of the Jazz and in terms of the Utah Hockey Club. What has the Utah response been? The people that you come across, the general public, people who go, oh, he's the general manager of the Utah Hockey Club. What has the reception been like from the people around? Because I know how I feel, but I mean, what's it been like for you to watch that in a new community kind of embrace a team?
They I walk in there and I think, okay, I go to a restaurant and I think, okay, I'm going to, Texas barbecue or Longhorn. I walk in there with my wife and I think, okay, nobody's going to know who you are, so you just sneak in, grab something. The girl seats us, not in the booth, but in the middle of the restaurant. And it's like...
It's on purpose.
Yeah, and then I'm like, everybody turned around and is like... And I'm like, okay, so it's amazing. We love that because that's something that hasn't happened for us, So it's been a culture shock in a good way. You get into the Uber and the guy's like, I know who you are. I know who you are. He goes, but it's Small Lake City because I just drove two of your players over here, So I got a great question by a fan the other day that said, tell me some stuff about Utah, what you noticed is different than anybody. And I said, well, when you go by a normal bus stop for the kids in the morning for school, in most places I've lived, there's seven kids. In Utah, there's 75.
This is true.
A red light does not mean it's red. It's kind of yellow. You better check both ways.
It's orange.
It's orange, yeah. Red doesn't really mean red. So, just as a newbie coming through, the guy that invented the orange cone for construction in Utah must be a billionaire because they're everywhere. There's everywhere. So that's my kind of take.
Those are three strong facts right there.
Listen,
and people are super nice. They're the friendliest. We bought a house. We went into the neighborhood, and it's not finished yet. And the whole neighborhood came out to greet us. We're going through people's houses. We're introducing. It's like, hey, do you want to stay for dinner?
They will bring you dinner. They will bring you dinner.
Bring you dry cookies. They do the dry cookie thing.
It's the nicest thing. They got the. And now when I go up the street, they wait for me almost, like not wait for me, but they're all in their driveways. They did this long before I came, but they all have a beer or a non-alcoholic, and they're all in the driveway, and they're all waving to you.
Right.
So you're waving to your whole street, so it's awesome.
Right. It's so they can see you, so that when they run that orange light, they'll be they'll still be visible. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the seeing what coach has done. Like when you watch, because you think about it from a coach's perspective, and you also have to do the GM thing.
Yep.
But I would imagine it's pretty hard to turn off the coaching thing too.
Yeah.
When you watch Bear and what this is a guy, he coaches the Canadian national team. Like, he's got some pretty good credentials.
Yeah.
What's he doing different this year? What do you see him now, kind of year to year, his development as a coach and what he's doing for these young men? Yeah,
so when he came in, I pretty much gutted the team. So, and I was honest with him when I recruited him to hire him. I said, listen, it's not going to be pretty. He's like, yeah. Yeah, no problem. Like, because he just wanted his first NHL job. And so when he took over, like, there was a medium-sized roster in the NHL. So he's like, I can work with this. And every day I went to work and I traded one guy and down to the last. And if you look at that roster from when he first started, it might be one of the worst teams that have ever existed in the National Hockey League. Like, we gutted everything, So what he's had to do is put a system in, and now each year, he's also learning because, he's a young coach coming out of junior. He had a little bit of experience in the NHL with the Avs as assistant coach, but it's different when you come through the door as a head coach. And the NHL is changing, with all the new systems and that, the new science. And so he's had to adapt, and now his team has kind of taken that effect where they've been in the system now for 3 years. They're teaching it to other players. So it's a thing. And now the culture is established where he was like, from his first day, like, he had the greatest line with one of the players. One of the players was kind of like a lazy veteran. And he was a coach killer. Like, this guy was a coach killer. And I remember Bear, how he handled him. And this guy had a lot of power. And Bear went up to him and said, listen, you and I got to get off to the right start. He said, like, I'm going to tell you, you need a day off, you're more than welcome. You come to me and say, I need that day for rest. Whatever you need, let me know. You come on the second day, you want the rest, you want off, no problem. You take the second day off too. You come to me on the third day, whatever you need. But when you go on that bleeping ice, you're going to go 100 miles an hour. Let's get that straight. And I was so impressed, like the way, and that guy was an NHL superstar. And the way he handled him was he shut it down right there.
Nice.
And that's the way he dealt with it. And from that moment, our culture has been building upon. When we go to practice, sometimes at the GM, I worry about guys getting hurt. But I also think about this. If we don't practice at full speed, we're not getting better that day.
Yeah.
It's the only way we can have an event. And the NHL season is ruthless. It's like the NFL, like, it's ruthless. But the only way for us to get better and to be challenged every day, and the greatest aspect of that is now what happens is another effect. Now you get really good players like Logan Cooley that are pushing 23, 24 miles an hour coming on your defenseman. Now he's got to play him accordingly, and now your team's starting to grow slowly but surely because of that culture, because of Barron pushing the envelope. And yes, you do worry about someone crashing into the boards head first and at times, but we're growing every day because of that mentality to do things fast, do things hard, and get better.
Man, I love that. I really want to talk. I don't want to put expectations on the season, but I do.
Well, here goes.
But I do at the same time.
Now, this is where I get nervous. I haven't been nervous in the interview. I've been myself. Okay.
And then he'll go, okay, these first 15 games, where are you guys going to be at after 15 games?
But hearing from you, I want to hear from you, like, who is the players that we all, as fans, should be excited for this year?
Well, you're going to get excited about Clayton Keller. I mean, this kid's a hockey player. Like, he's a competitor. He wants to push the envelope, and he's skilled. And the thing you love about Kells is all summer long he's training. He's got skills coaches, shooting coaches, skating coaches, like, he's just every single day. And he works with Austin Matthews, their neighbors, and I think they live in Arizona together. So they're pushing the pace every day. So he's somebody that's on your radar, and he continues to get better. Logan Cooley's a bright young player that we had. We took him high in the draft, and he's an elite player. someone that you love because of his competitiveness and wanting to get better, and he's pushing every day, and you'll notice him right away. Dylan Gunther's a sniper for us. He's only 20 some odd years older, and he's like a 30-year-old. Like his mentality, the way he comes to the rink, and everywhere he's gone, he's won. He's got a pedigree of winning championships and driving his team deep into the playoffs. So, Sergachev is obviously a big name. He's won 2 Stanley Cups with Tampa Bay. We added him. He's a great piece for our team. He's an elite defenseman. He's always been behind Hedman in Tampa Bay, and now he's got a chance to be a 1. So he's going to have to drive the bus on that one, but he's got a chance to get in there. Connor Ingram and net stellar performances by him. He's growing into a goaltender that we're trying to. We think he can be our number 1. Veggie, our backup, or I shouldn't say backup, our number 2 at the moment. Who could be our number 1? Who knows how the season goes? You never know with goalies, but he's pushing too. And so we've got a good nucleus of players there that have talent. And that's something like it's been fun to come to camp this year. This is the first year where I've sat back and kind of gone like, you can see it. You can see it coming.
There's a lot of people in this community who married themselves to the Golden Knights just because.
Yeah, I know. I'm so disappointed.
How
in
do you?
that. Yeah, that one.
But I can't tell you how many people are this close to flipping because they didn't know that a team was going to be here this quick. They were like, let's just go geography. It was a geography question. Let's just go with the closest team or the one, and they didn't want to cheer for Colorado. So, what do you tell those people? We're trying to get them back over here. They're from here, and they need to be cheering for the Utah Hockey Club. What do we tell those guys?
That's an easy one. You win your way into their hearts. Like at the end of the day, you've got to have success, and it's not. For us, it's going to be a slow burn to do that, but you're eventually going to fall in love with our team because we are going to have success with the young players that are coming through the door, and playoffs is the greatest thing that attracts fans to your sport because it's a different game in playoffs. It's a different level of intensity. And when you go watch that and eventually as this club grows and has the chance and the opportunity to get into playoffs with this team, you're going to grow your fan base. Not only the fans that are addicted now, but you're going to get outside that and you're going to convert some of those unfortunate Golden Knight fans will be cheering for Utah.
Sly, you got to ask your.
I've been waiting.
He's got a sweater.
I want to hear.
He's got a sweater question. I mean, he's most interested in the sweaters.
I am so excited. I've made 3 bets already, and this is what I bet. My bets with my friends is I win jerseys. So I've been winning WNBA jerseys like crazy these past couple years. But my next bet is this year. It's the Commanders. They have to have more wins than the Raiders, and they got to get me a hockey club jersey. So when can we buy these? I need a hockey club jersey.
I saw some out on the plaza. We were broadcasting on that Monday.
Counterfeits.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, because I think Keller was spelled with 1 L, and I was like, it was a little crooked.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I look out to the stands and go, "Oh wow, those guys got jerseys!" I'm like, "That's incredible!" And they're like, "Yeah, they're counterfeits." They're counterfeits. So I think it's going to be November sometime. That is above my paid grade to ask that question. That's a Chris Armstrong question. That he's, that's his thing. So, but I think it's sometime in November.
I got to get rid of my Penguins jersey.
For sure. Yeah,
hockey club.
Well, don't get rid of it. Keep it in the closet, just like way deep back there.
We got to have an exchange of jerseys, like we got to have that one.
We can do it. That would be an awesome deal.
I got to talk Ryan into that one. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit, but it's going to grow your fan base. Yeah.
Bill Armstrong, he's the GM of the Utah Hockey Club. He's been super generous with his time, and I will just say, every player that's walked through here, all the front office people we talked to, yourself included, what I've noticed is that hockey players don't take days off. There's no load management in hockey. They want to play these games, and I think our fans here in the state of Utah are going to be super excited to watch these guys every night. So you've been so nice along this entire way. Thank you for hanging out with us today, and we're looking forward to this season.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm hoping to get you a jersey.
Don't do it. Don't give him that look. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
There you go. You'll be walking to the games like counterfeit. Like, no, that's real.
There you go. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go right around the corner. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.